Right. Welcome everyone to Andrew's first virtual recruitment event. We are delighted that you've joined us. We have a series of these over the next week. I'm going to be your host for today. A little bit about me. I run the mortgage services division here, Andrews. I've been with the company 20 years, so I can honestly stand here with integrity and say it's the best company I've ever worked for. So I look forward to you joining if it's the right place for you. Today, just going to see if you still think I look like my picture. I'm here in person now. So what can you expect from today? So today's session is all about Andrews and why you should come and work for us. We're going to hear from Carl Howard, our Group Chief Executive. He's going to talk to you about our brand and purpose. And I have to say, Andrews has the most compelling reason to exist in the industry. We're going to hear from some of our colleagues, Stefan Knight and Nikki Rackham. They're going to be talking to you about their experience in the industry, their experience within Andrews, and how they've come through the different vacancies and positions they've got. Probably the most important session is we're going to hear from Marta, our talent acquisition advisor. She's going to be telling you how to get a job at Andrews, and she's going to take you through the recruitment process. And at the end, we've got some questions and answers. So look, if you have a burning question, you can write it in the chat, you can write it down, but if you can wait until the end, that would be great. If in the meantime, you could put yourself on mute to avoid any backup interference, that would be great. And I'm delighted to hand over to our first speaker, which is Carl Howard. Hello, Carl.
Thanks, Sam. That's very kind of you. I'm sat here at home in Harrogate, which is in North Yorkshire, with a bunch of books behind me that I've never read, by and large. I thought long and hard about whether to put a suit and tie on or a shirt and tie today. But Andrews has some fairly unique values, and one of the behaviours that we talk about a lot is honest dialogue and authenticity. And I wouldn't normally, if I was working from home on a Monday, have a suit and tie or a shirt and tie on. So I thought, why change the habit of a lifetime? So I've got my hoodie and t-shirt, which is my sort of typical Monday home life outfit. I've got the enviable opportunity to tell you a little bit about Andrews' heritage and why I think it's one of the best places in the industry to work. It's quite a unique organisation. So we have both heritage and charitable purpose, and I just want to tell you a little bit about both of them. Our heritage dates back to 1946 when Andrews was founded, and it was founded by a gentleman called Cecil Jackson Cole. Now, I wouldn't expect anybody to know about this gentleman, but he was quite pivotal in his sector. He was a Quaker, and he believed in entrepreneurial work, but also in using some of his profits to help fund charities and help charities get set up. And in his time, he was responsible for Land Aid, Oxfam, and Help the Aged, three of the biggest charities today. And he was one of the founders of all three. And I think that it runs through our DNA, that desire to give something back. So our charitable purpose is quite important to us. We're owned by a charitable trust. We're the only business in the estate agency sector which is owned by a charity. And what that means is we give 1/3 of all of our profits to the charity, and the charity then uses that money to reinvest in people in need and to help people in difficult circumstances. So it really is quite an exciting place to work, because what we do is for the benefit of others. In terms of size, Andrews is small but well formed. So we're not the biggest, and we're certainly not the smallest. We are about 47 offices, so we're based around the whole of the southeast and the southwest. So from as far and wide as Bath and Bristol in the west, and out to London, Kent and Essex in the east. And within that territory, we operate 6 different businesses. So we have a whole range of businesses: sales, lettings, financial services. We have a business that helps buy land and develop the land for sale, called Land and New Homes. And we also have 2 corporate businesses, one which helps leaseholders in terms of property management. And finally, a business that we call ACCS, Andrews Corporate Client Services, which is helping two large organisations, West Bromwich Building Society and the Co-op, and we look after all of the property for those two organisations. So it's quite a broad range of responsibilities and quite an interesting place to work. We also have a desire to do things differently, and we always have. So we have a bold vision, and that's kind of twofold. We want to help to change the industry that we work in for good. So we want to make it better for the people that work in it, for the customers, and for all of the people involved. And our ambition, consequently, is to be the most trusted and admired in the sector. So we don't want to be the biggest, and we don't have to be the most profitable, but we have to be profitable and be the most trusted and admired. And it's that desire which really drives everything we do. And also it drives a natural focus away from pure sales. So we're not aiming to be a sales-led organisation. We want to be a customer-led organisation. So really focused on doing the right thing for the customer and then profiting from delivering that for them, which I think makes us relatively unique. So that's coming to the end of my input, but to achieve all of this mission, we need to find people who believe in what we do and want to be part of something special. And hence we've tried this innovative approach today to try and get people to consider Andrews, find out a bit more, and learn from the session in terms of what a career in this sector looks like. So on that basis, I'm going to hand back to you, Sam, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Carl. I've got a question for you. What does a group chief executive have for breakfast on a Monday?
I had so I'm northern, I come from Manchester and I live in Yorkshire, so I had cheese and ham on toast, and I always have Warburton's Toasty, which is possibly the best bread ever made.
I like Warburton's bread as well, so thanks, Carl. Carl, what I'm going to do is move on now to Stefan, but hopefully if you hang around, we'll have some questions hopefully for you at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. So I'm going to hand you over now to my colleague, Stefan. Stefan's been with the business, I think, 8 years. And actually, Stefan used to work for me for a little while. So he's actually worked in quite a few varied roles, and I'm sure he'll explain that when he gets on in a minute. So Stefan, are you there? There he is.
I'm here. Hello. I feel
Hi,
like is this vengeance, is it, for leaving you? You're dumping me in.
That's not
Not really. Yeah. Hi everyone. So as Sam, thanks Sam for introducing me. So I'm Stefan Knight. I'm a business manager for Andrews Property Group in Cheltenham. So I run our Cheltenham cluster, which consists of Cheltenham Central, Charlton Kings, and our Leckhampton office. And I manage all day-to-day sales and lettings essentially across those 3 branches. So always busy, just keeping the wheel moving, keeping it running like an well-oiled machine. As Sam mentioned, I've been with the business now for 8 years, so a good healthy stint, but I've been in the industry for 11 years in total. So as many people, just like many people on this call, I came over to Andrews with a bit of industry experience behind me, as I came over from a valuer's role into my role at Andrews. So what I want to really speak about is essentially take you through a bit of my journey in terms of Andrews, to give you a bit of an idea and maybe a bit of inspiration about what you can do in your career and essentially how you can help that move forward, and what Andrews can do to help that move forward for you as well. So, like I say, background wise, I joined the industry back when I was 18 as a trainee neg. I worked for this awful estate agent, which I'm not going to name, but essentially I went straight in with no training, very pushy sales-led environment. It was very much get as much money out of the customer as possible, get everything you can, and if you didn't, you were really penalized for it, which obviously created quite a negative atmosphere. And some of you might be sort of going, oh yeah, that sounds about right, it sounds like what I'm used to. So I was working 6 days a week, had no direction, lack of focus or anything like that. So after 3 years of trying really hard, I did what most unhappy employees do, and I went and had some interviews. So managed to have interviews with multiple estate agents across the Gloucestershire region, and I got 3 job offers out of it, which was great. So Andrews, I chose Andrews because of 3 reasons really. Firstly, I loved giving back. I hated this stereotype about estate agents where we're money grabbers, we're sharks, we're all of these horrible things that people love to explain us as. Instead, I wanted to go for a company which loved giving back to people, wanted to focus on the customer, and really cared about its people, essentially. So that's the first reason I chose Andrews, because they demonstrated that to me really well. Secondly, Andrews was most trusted out of the 3. They were trusted within the group. Whenever anyone spoke about them, spoke highly, and it always came down to the idea that they always did the right thing for the customer. So whenever any of my colleagues were talking about them, whereas I was told by my old bosses at my previous agents, doesn't matter about the customer, just get the money out of them, get the deal. Andrews very much were, no, do the right thing for the customer going forward. And number 3, I kept losing business to them. Every time I went out on valuations, I just kept losing business to Andrews, which is great because it showed me that they were my main competition, and to be so, they must have had good training in order to take their people through it. So that's really the 3 reasons I went into Andrews. So as I say, I went into Andrews as a valuer. And from day one, I made my goal very clear to my line manager at the time. I said to him, I want to go up through the ranks. I want to progress. I want to become a manager within the company. I want to do really well. I want to learn strategy, and I want to help run the business essentially and take it to a new level. So within 6 months, which was really great, I was put on a management training course as a senior negotiator. So I went on that, was taught all about business plans, how to manage people, how to set goals effectively. And within a year, I managed to get a promotion to an assistant branch manager, which was great because it gave me a really good, clear insight to what the management role would look like, but maybe not with so much pressure behind it. So I was allowed to make mistakes. I had someone who I could rely on and who could back me up, and I wasn't dropped in the deep end essentially, which was really good. Then I made a complete U-turn. So as Sam says, I essentially approached him and the regional manager for mortgages. Essentially, I wanted to, as part of my progression, I wanted to know as much as I could about the industry we were in. I wanted to be able to give the customer the best experience, and I wanted to be able to give proper, true advice to our customers going forward. So I approached Andrews Mortgage Services and said, you know what, I fancy a change. I fancy becoming a mortgage and protection advisor. And amazingly, and to my shock, my line manager at the time in sales, mortgage services, all turned around and said, yep, brilliant, we'll help you do that. They paid for my exams, took me through a vigorous training course, supported me all the way through, and got me to a point where I was fully qualified to be in front of customers talking about mortgage services, which anyone who in the industry knows at the moment, you can't talk about if you're an estate agent. You know, you've got to very much say, I can't go into detail, but I can pass you on to my advisor if you're used to cross-selling referrals. And that was a great position to put me in order to essentially help me with that customer experience going forward. But also, I then managed to keep my management training going. I was put on courses such as public speaking and how to be effective in that, ethics and diversity training. There was management courses, and I was put on all of those at the same time, allowing me for 3 years after that, it's obviously the magic 3, go into a business manager role. So that's where I am now, being able to go through 4 roles within Andrews, all completely with the backing of my team, all with the backing of senior management and the training and the coaching that I've needed. And through those have really set me up well to help me face any challenge that I receive in my roles today, because being dropped in the deep end is just not effective for anyone. It's all about having the training, the support and the experience behind you in order to be able to take those forward. But it doesn't stop there. I mean, I'm still on Andrew's management programs, which is great. So that's now taking me through as well, hoping to get to the next segment of my career. So to sum it up, because I'll stop now and stop rambling on. For me, it's what's the one reason that someone within the industry currently should join Andrew's Property Group? And the simple answer is career pathways. So when you join, you're put on a pathway for the career that you want, whether that's within the industry the sector of the industry that you're in now, or maybe a different sector. And then you'll have the training, the support and the help essentially to get to that point that you want to be. That's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And you didn't ramble. Just one question for you. Not what you had for breakfast, but obviously having worked with the different departments in Andrews, which is the best?
And sorry, you're breaking up there. I can't hear you. Andrew's Property Group as a whole.
No, thank you. And I hope the our attendees found that useful as well. So I'm now you answered all the questions I was going to ask you, to be honest. There is one actually, and I think, what is it that I think you mentioned this previously, but just to recap, you mentioned the giving back, but what is it that you love about your day-to-day job?
I think the thing I love about my day-to-day job is that I've got a really good mix between customer interaction and business interaction. So for me, I never want to lose that ability to be talking to customers, because it's what I love. I love engaging with people, and I love essentially bringing them through a journey to the end result and hearing that they've been really happy with the service at the end. But I've also, all through my school life, I was business studies. I've always wanted to and been interested in strategy of business and taking things forward and progressing something, building something. And I think that's the other part of my job that I just love, is having an insight to how the business operates and being able to support it and help it going forward from there.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm now going to hand over to Nikki. Again, if you've got questions, please write them down or put them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them at the end. So, Nikki, hello.
Hi, Sam.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, good. Thank you. You've been here 18 years, haven't you?
Far too long, some might say.
So yes, tell us a little bit about you then.
So my name is obviously Nikki Rackham, and I'm a regional manager for property management and tenancy support. And as you say, I've been here 18 years. I joined Andrews in March of 2005. I'd never worked in property industry before. My background was actually in recruitment, but I came on board at the time as a tenancy support coordinator, and I progressed all of the new lets for lettings for the Southeast, all the branches in the Southeast. I went on to run this department for 12 months before deciding that I fancied becoming a negotiator. I wanted to go to the front end of the business. So I applied for a role in our Putney office at the time, which was very competitive at the stage. At that time, I think there was roughly over 20 other lettings and sales offices within competitive offices within a mile's radius of Putney's mainline train station. Position then became available in our Wallington office for a more varied role with further progression opportunities. So I applied for that and was successful. And I spent 6 fantastic years in that office. I was lettings negotiator, property manager, and then eventually promoted to assistant branch manager. I quickly learned that valuing properties and meeting landlords was something that I was good at and also really enjoyed. I loved speaking with customers about their property needs, why they needed to move, how we could help them and finding the right tenants, and supporting them through their property journey. When a branch manager position became available in our Mitcham and Morden branch, I applied for that and again was successful in my promotion. I ran the Morden office for nearly 8 years with a brilliant team, winning Branch of the Year in 2016, and built up a great portfolio of clients during my time there. In 2019, I was asked to be the first cluster manager for Andrews and took on the Streatham branch under my wing. Managing 2 teams was very challenging, but also very rewarding. And when Andrews acquired the Browns estate agents in Worcester Park in January 2021, they asked me to run that office too. Throughout my career with Andrews, I've always been passionate about the service customers receive and also the services we are able to offer at Andrews and how those services contribute to our local communities through our purpose. I'm passionate about challenging myself, using the skills I've acquired to further develop myself and the teams that I manage and help them to do the same. I love that Andrews has always supported and empowered my career development, which has led me to being able to lead and develop multiple different teams throughout my time and throughout each stage of my career. What I love about my day-to-day job is that although there's routine components, for consistency and effective results, no day is the same. So it's really every single day is a school day, as I say, and a learning experience. I currently manage 3 team leaders for property management and tenancy support, making up a total team of 28 people. And in my first year as regional manager, we exceeded as a team our financial budget, and we've had a very promising start to 2023. So I like to say I'm a great example of career development within one company, and can't thank Andrews enough for all the opportunities that I've had so far.
Oh, good, Nikki. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. I think, what we've heard from today from, just 2 colleagues, it's how fluid we are, and, the right people can progress, and we continue to progress those individuals alongside new ones that we bring into our firm. So thank you very much, Nikki. So you mentioned a highlight in your career, winning branch of the year, Morden. I was going to ask another question. Have you got another standout time in your career that you've really achievement that you've achieved? 18 years is an achievement on its own. But
I mean, I probably draw on my most recent experience, which was in 2022. It was my first full year as a regional manager, which was a huge step in my career and, completely out of my comfort zone. I manage mostly remote teams, which is also very challenging in itself. But yeah, just seeing all the changes that we've gone through as a company and how some of the people that I work with, a lot of the people that I work with have come through those changes and, progressed their own careers as well. That's probably been the most rewarding in terms of my careers. 2022 was a challenging but also very, very good year for so many reasons.
Good. Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate that. Again,
Sure.
Nikki's going to stay on the line. If we've got any questions for Nikki, please put them in the chat, or at the end you can ask those. So I'm now going to move over to Marta. So Marta's going to tell you about the application process. This is the important session, not that the other 2 weren't, but we need to, if you want a job here at Andrews, you need to listen up now. So Marta, you go.
Hello everyone, my name is Marta and I work as a talent acquisition in Andrews Property Group. My role here is really exciting because I try to help people in taking the next steps in the development of their career path, helping them with finding the role matching their expectations, and at the same time also helping the business to bring talented individuals on board. What I really do like in Andrews is that we give equal chances to all the candidates to be considered for all particular roles, and we do use a very unique interview process that allows you really to talk to us about your experience, whether it's the home or from workplace, and to make sure that natural strengths which you possess and which are actually possessed by the candidates fit the role profile. That way, all of us think that we get best out of all candidates applying for roles and the best out of the job which they really essentially enjoy. This way of recruitment help us to find out more about you as a candidate and see how well you would suit the role. Obviously, we can consider the individuals from every background when applying for jobs. First of all, candidates who are brand new to estate agency world, looking for their first proper job. Secondly, more experienced colleagues who used to work for estate agents in the past and want to develop their skills and progress under Andrews' excellent supervision. And lastly, the ones who are skilled in the other backgrounds and have transferable skills, I would say, but obviously would fancy career change. And this is really amazing pleasure to help all of the people interested in getting on board and in the same time help the business to grow. On the slide here, you can see the steps how to join our amazing team, and you just need to follow 3 simple steps. First of all, please note my email address and send me your CV on mbrzeg@andrewsonline.co.uk. Then I'm happy to give you a call, discuss with you all the vacancies which we currently got available within our branches. And obviously, I will be more than happy to discuss the next career path for each candidate, making sure in the same time that all the natural strengths are possessed by candidate are matching the role profile. And then obviously we are able to arrange face-to-face interviews, so every candidate is able to meet regional managers and our great business managers on face-to-face interview. And then I'm more than happy to assist with job offering process and all the documentation process. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marta. Appreciate that. And again, Marta's details will be emailed out after this event, so don't worry if you didn't quite get the opportunity to write them down. So we're almost at the end. I just wanted to point out this is the first session of many, so we are running sessions all week. So tomorrow we've got Women in Property, Wednesday we've got Fancy a Change, Thursday we've got New Starter, and Friday we got Role Specific, hearing from different people each time within Andrews. I'm conscious of time, so I am going to move on to any questions, unless we can see Carl's come back. So thank you, Carl. I'm going to out to the floor. Any questions? If you want to ask a question, make sure you come off mute first. I'm checking the chat to see if we've got any. Not currently, I can't see. It's all right. If you don't want to ask in this forum, we're going to follow up with the details so you can ask. I cut my session a little bit short earlier. So again, I think it's good to reiterate my experience with Andrews. I started as an apprentice 20 years ago. My first job was punching the holes for treasury tags for our paper records. Since then, Andrews have really supported me in progression of my career, so much that they actually put me through a master's about 5 years ago. So look, genuinely, if you're in the industry now, I can tell you there's not a better company to work for than Andrews. And I think, like I said, it starts with a compelling reason to exist, which we certainly do, which is for the support of our charitable trusts. But yeah, anyone else on the call wants to speak? Carl, Stefan, Nikki?
Well, I think that's all correct, and I think the team's done a tremendous job of describing what it's like to be at Andrews. I mean, I've never worked anywhere quite like this. It's possibly the best job I've ever had, and I find it an amazing place to work day in, day out, and I'm incredibly passionate about what we're trying to do, and that's quite rare, I think, in any job. So can definitely commend Andrews to people who want to work for somewhere a little bit different.
Possibly the best job. Right, so on that note then, I think I'm going to bring the session to a close. Oh, Jessica Anderson's got a hand. Jess Anderson had a hand up. Jess, did you have a question?
No, sorry, press the wrong button. Sorry about that.
Well, we are live. It's fine. That's no problem.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. Oh, I've got a hand. Kay O'Donnell.
Yeah, I just wanted to add in, because obviously I'm an employee of Andrews. I've been here for 2 years now, and I've worked for several agencies before, and I don't plan on working for another agency after this. Like, from a property manager point of view, the support you get here is so much better than the support I've ever had in any other company. The level of detail on the compliance and the videos we get training wise is far more in depth than I've ever had. My first role in property management was just, here are the rules, here's your portfolio, get go and introduce yourself to your landlords. And for me, that's not been my experience in Andrews. My experience in Andrews has been a lot of support of a lot of really talented people that I can pick the minds of. And even though I work at home, I do actually feel like, you know, I am supported by a really good team around me. I know full well anything I do, I know I can just ask a question of someone, no matter where they are in the company, someone will come back to me with that answer. And that's a really nice thing to have in a job role, I think, personally.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm just checking I wasn't on mute then. Thank you. Do you know what? I think what a way to close. You know, just thanks very much. And you know, I'm actually quite speechless in that. That's really good. I think Carl's probably the same. He sent out a heart out, and I don't know how to respond. So on that note, I am going to close. We will follow up with the application details from Marta. But if you have any questions for me or any other one of the speakers today, please don't be afraid to send us an email. We'll be happy to answer them. Thanks again, everyone. Take care.